Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. I am Rob, your host, and along with me as always, my co-host Carter. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. 'Tis the season to be merry.
It is that season still, but you know, the most famous elf of all is off duty. He flipped the sign, so he turned it around and said, I'm off duty, and we know he needs his rest, but he was nice enough to say, hey guys, I'll join you and talk a little bit about that brown water stuff.
Yeah. Well, just so everybody knows, we're talking to the Bourbon Santa, and apparently Santa lives in Florida.
Well, I mean,
in the off season.
Well, it's the Bourbon Santa. Dude likes to put his flip flops on and hit the beach. Not Daytona. We found that out.
Yeah, not Daytona. No.
Austin, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Great for you to come on and join us and talk a little bit. We appreciate you doing this with us. We're looking forward to having some fun with you tonight.
Heck yeah, it's my pleasure.
And take that any way you want, although we are virtual, so
I mean,
if we were there, we'd really have some fun.
It's a party.
It's a party. By the way, you have family here in Texas, and so, I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but we're expecting a Santa visit at some point in 2022.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, too.
I
don't know when that's going to happen. But...
He didn't say no.
No.
I'm always up for visiting Texas. I love Texas.
All right, great. Texas and Florida, they're like brothers to me. I mean, they kind of get along pretty well.
Yeah, they've got a nice relationship for sure. I also think if you take a visit to Houston and we show you some of the cool bars that are here, you'll be very, very happy with what you find.
And we'll cook with you and for you as well. We like to, I know you like to cook. We like to cook. So
yeah. Food is, my second language.
Yeah,
so,
same. Well, we're telling everybody we're talking to the Bourbon Santa, and a lot of listeners may know who you are. A lot may not. So tell them who you are, kind of what you do, what your bourbon channel, I'm calling it your channel. You have, just tell them where you're at and where they can find you and what you do.
Sure. I'm just a bourbon guy. I just love whiskey. And I was just, in the whiskey groups, hanging out with everybody and talking. And one of the things that I love the best about the whiskey community is helping other people to taste new things. And so I started giving away whiskey samples, bottles too sometimes, but mostly samples. And, specifically to people that haven't had that specific whiskey before. That was always my thing. I'd ask a question, who in the group hasn't had X? And then I'd pick from that list and send them samples so they would try something new. And to me, that gives me so much pleasure to help other people taste new stuff and maybe find tasting notes that they couldn't quite get a hold of before, that I really started doing a lot of it. And the people in the group, which was the Bourbon Junkies group, named me the Bourbon Santa. And everybody was doing kind of a trend back then of doing like the only 5 bourbons you need in your collection. And everybody was doing that video and posting it. And so I made one and posted it in the group, and almost every single comment on that video was, you should start your own channel. And so I did. I started my own YouTube channel, and it's kind of taken off from there. I've got an Instagram. I have TikTok, which I just post like little clips of my videos, like little dumb things that I say to TikTok just for fun. It's kind of like almost outtakes, but not really outtakes. And then I got on Patreon, and I have a really nice Patreon group, and we have a private group on Facebook that is my absolute pride and joy, because everybody in that group is sharing whiskey with each other, and samples and bottles and swaps. And it's literally my favorite thing about whiskey is watching other people share with each other and try new things. Get your hands on a sample of Pappy. Somebody sent a guy a sample of Pappy 15 in the group the other day.
That's awesome.
And so like this guy is getting to try whiskey he would, I don't know, right? Why wasn't it me? I still haven't had Pappy 15. But like watching people get to try whiskeys that they wouldn't be able to normally get their hands on really makes me happy. And it makes me happy for 2 reasons. One, because they're getting to try something new and it makes them happy and the person that's giving it happy. But secondly, I have a secret reason for doing it. And it's also the reason that I always give away every bottle of Blanton's that I find to someone who's never had Blanton's before. Most of the allocated things that people really hunt for aren't worth hunting. Yeah. And so I want more people to figure that out. And so, like, if this guy tries that Pappy 15 and he's like, okay, it's great, but it's not worth $1,500 to $2,000, he won't ever even think about spending that money on it. And hopefully, eventually one day, the price of these allocated bottles will come back down to earth to where it's actually accessible for people. I had a sample of Old Rep 10 just recently, and I looked at what that's going for. It's going for like $1,800 a bottle. And the Senator Rye that I had in my best of 2021 kicked its butt.
Yep.
Like, it's not even a competition. It's a good whiskey. It's a good rye, but it's not worth this price.
Oh yeah.
So my second motivation is having people try allocated bottles that they think are amazing and have to have and are hunting, and then realizing it's not that great.
Yep.
And stop that and look at other distilleries like the stuff Jay Henry's putting out.
Well, let me ask you
a
this:
little micro distillery.
Do you ever send somebody a sample like that and ask them to do it blind against something that you know is really good on the shelf all the time? Because
I haven't specifically done that.
One thing that comes to mind for me thinking about that is Weller 107 versus Maker's Mark cask strength.
Oh,
at usually right around 108 or 109.
Or the Maker's 101.
Yeah.
Or Maker's 101.
Good point.
Still weeded, similar. And we've done that blind more than once.
Several times.
And the Maker's wins every time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's great. I recently just, my dad has always said, he's into the bourbon thing too. And he's always said, yep, Weller 107 is my favorite bourbon. And I made him do that. I made him buy a bottle of Maker's Cask Strength and blind him. And he said, yeah, the Maker's Cask Strength won.
Well, and the reason I say that is I think, as humans, when we see a label and we think it's supposed to be good, we automatically convince ourselves this is fantastic. And it's not until we take away that, that prejudice and we just do it blind and not knowing which is which that we get a more authentic answer as to what we really liked or didn't like, which one's actually better.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you ever did that.
I haven't specifically done that, but I have given away blinds that would have like 2 hitters and 2 non-hit, shelf bottles that that would compete well, but not like specifically like weeded for weeded, close to the same, proof point, for that specific reason. I was just doing a flight.
Yeah. So I think it's a great point that your reason for really getting people to understand that it's good, but is it worth the hunt? I think that's brilliant, and I agree with you 100%. I just think, having that in front of them and never having it right away, I think of Blanton's a lot of time. People who haven't had Blanton's, they take that first pour and go, this is the best stuff I've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the little horsey is an influence and all that kind of stuff. But what I'll say is that, there's not a lot of people out. I mean, people can read stuff online and everything like that, but until they actually try it, until they actually get a hold of it, it's people are still going to buy into that hype, and they're still going to buy into that, this is the tater bottle I got to chase. And I think what you do is fantastic. And honestly,
he saves people money.
He does. He does it while spending his own money.
Yeah, that's the Santa. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and more about what you're doing and what you're going to do this year, because you've already kind of told us that you have some things coming up. Not specifically, but in general.
Right. I'm hoping to have a few really interesting interviews. These will be my first interviews that I've done on my channel, on my YouTube channel. And then hopefully eventually I'm going to be doing some on-location stuff at a distillery or two. And I'm going to start this year. I'm going to start doing live videos. I've only ever done one live that was on Facebook. I haven't done any YouTube lives yet. I think that market is really kind of crowded at the moment. There's a lot of lives that go on every week from all the different bourbon channels that I've been around.
Yep.
And so it's kind of hard to like carve out where I would actually, like what night of the week, what time slot I would try to do a live in. So I'm probably going to end up doing it as an invitation only video through my Patreon group.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Nice. So it'll be on YouTube, but you'll need a link to get to it.
Gotcha.
So I think I'll do that. And one of the things that I really dislike about most of the live shows that are on, they're just too big. There's too many people.
It's a lot of noise on the shows.
When the Bourbon Junkies were so much smaller, I started following them when they were around 6,000 subs on YouTube. And when they were that size, there might be 300 people in the chat.
Yeah.
And you could actually kind of have a conversation in the chat and with them. And now that it's thousands of people in there, you make a comment and it's like, gone.
Yeah.
And unless it's a super chat, they're not reading it because, they kind of have to. You're paying for them, to kind of force them to read your comment. But so I don't really enjoy lives that much. But right now, my Patreon group is around 80, just over 80 people. And so that would be a nice, really intimate live. So I'm going to play around with that.
Well, I'm in the Patreon group, so I will definitely join for sure. Yeah. And I'm with you. Like when it comes to the Bourbon Junkies, one of my favorite YouTube whiskey channels out there. Absolutely definitely love these guys. But they have been very successful, and I do kind of miss the days because I think I was a Patreon with them for like 4,000 subs or something. I've been following them for a long time. And I remember, the old lives that they used to do, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't tell you, I'm going to spring this on you right now, Austin, that, we have come up with, for our show, it's always fun to talk to our guests about the topic, the subject matter of the particular show. In this case, the Santa in bourbon. But we like to throw in some questions, 5 questions as we go through the show to kind of give us some insight, pulling the veil back a little bit. Who is the Bourbon Santa? So we have 5 questions as we go through the interview. We'll ask them periodically.
They're very personal, in-depth questions. Yeah. We really prod.
You might want your wife to come on in because she's involved.
You want the link to my OnlyFans?
What? So question number 1. Your favorite 80s movie?
Ooh. It's going to be a Star Wars movie.
Okay. There you go. I knew you were a Star Wars guy, for sure.
You know what? I'm going to go go obscure, and I'm going to say the Ewoks movies.
Okay,
really?
So Jedi, you're into it.
The Ewok movies with Sindel and Ewok and those campy ones in Noah, the old guy. I loved those movies when I was a kid. Me and my sister watched them over and over and over again. Those and Princess Bride.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Princess Bride is a great one.
Oh man, I mean,
one of the most quotable movies of all time. Around our house, we do all the Fezzik rhyming and and the As You Wishes and all that crap. It's
that's
a thing.
Awesome.
And for me, the 80s was whether it be music or movies, I think it was just a decade that put out all kinds of great stuff and a lot more original things than we kind of see today.
They put out me.
They put out this young man right
here. In 1980.
Yeah. I was drinking whiskey and smoking cigars when you were born, my boy.
I was only a couple years old when you were born.
Yeah.
Well, me too, but I was still smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. I mean, come on.
I mean, age 3 wasn't too young.
No. Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. See, I thought you were going to go Empire on it. Because I think Empire Strikes Back is like 81 or something.
Yeah. I obviously loved that movie, but the Ewoks movies, for whatever reason, I may have been because my sister liked them better. I don't know, but we watched them like daily between that and Princess Bride and in the original Star Wars trilogy, of course.
See, you knew this about him. I didn't know this about you. I'm a big I'm a big kind of sci-fi movie in general, Star Wars, Star Trek, all that kind of stuff, The Expanse, all that kind of. I'm into that. I had no idea this about you with this.
Oh man, you should watch more of his videos. A lot of times he's wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Why don't you just get the yellow bus out and
just boop boop.
Man.
Oh man.
So, let me ask you. Well, you go ahead. What question do you have for the Santa?
I do have a question now. First of all, you should be a Patreon for Bourbon Santa. Just throwing it out there because you get lots of goodies, and you don't have to get in at a large sum per month to get well worth what you're putting into it for sure. So that kind of leads me to my question, because I get a little gift basket from or a little gift packet from Bourbon Santa pretty often, and how many sample bottles do you go through? Is there a Costco for sample bottles? I mean, it is unbelievable.
I go through about 100 a month.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bit. They're not terribly expensive on Amazon because I buy them too, but oh my gosh, when I see him lining them up. And then he's got like a sealing mechanism now and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's like fancy. I mean, this was kind of special here, but this is really like pro level. We'll get into that later, but
all right.
But yeah, because we want to drink that and kind of give you our thoughts on it. We already did it once, and my man Rob here forgot to turn on the audio.
Oh no!
So we're gonna do it again.
That's not an accurate statement. I had the audio on. It's a new camera. I thought I had it on the right setting, and turns out it wasn't the right setting. So
it's okay.
Took me a while to figure. Man, you were really hard on me.
I mean, you come from a different generation.
All right, so now we're going to start cutting knees, Austin.
That sounds like it.
If you see him drop a little bit, you'll know why.
Okay, I'm done. I have to give Rob full credit. He runs this whole show, so I just come here and talk.
Right, and drink.
Yeah, and drink. Yeah, that too.
So let me ask you, looking forward, well, let me ask you this, and I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot. I don't think I am. For people who haven't watched, you did your show on your favorite bourbons for 2021.
Yeah.
Can we go ahead since it's out? I don't want to spoil that. We want them to watch it, but let's go this way then. Did you do a show on your least favorite, the biggest disappointment? Have you done that?
Yes, I did.
You did. I missed that one then.
Yeah, I did my I think it was 5 least favorite releases from 2021.
Okay. Do you mind if we go through what the Bourbon Santa thought?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, because I'm interested to see how many of these might be allocated bottles versus just things that were on the shelf that you just didn't think lived up to a previous batch or a previous release. So fire away.
The first one on my list would be Blood Oath 7. Was absolutely disappointing.
Yeah, same. I didn't particularly care.
And we're going from 5th down to the worst one.
No, I don't remember like which one was my least favorite.
Yeah, these are just 5.
I am saving the for sure least favorite for last.
Okay.
But like these first couple are, they were just disappointing together.
I've never bought a Blood Oath, but it's a pricey bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, retail I think is 150.
Okay. Finished
for the 7 was 150.
Oh wow, okay.
And because they've been it was like 120 last year. Now it's like 150. But my problem with it is it was a blend of 3 bourbons, and they were touting on the bottle a wine finish. And I don't even remember now. Madeira. I don't remember. But I think it was Madeira. But only one of the 3 bourbons that was in it was even finished.
Yeah.
And the finish was so light and almost non-existent that it was like, what's the point of this? And the whiskey that it was just wasn't even near worth $150. It was so disappointing because Blood Oath 6 was good.
It was good for sure.
5 was good, 4 was good, but like,
so here, just kind of following up on this as we go through this list, so listeners understand, how important to you is it, price to quality? You know, what you pay and what you're getting, because I'm thinking there might be some not super expensive bottles on your list. Just
yeah, for sure. To me, the price thing is like extra insult on top of injury.
Yeah.
Okay, so like if I'm gonna, well, it's kind of hard because if you're spending $30 on a whiskey, you're not expecting it to be great. You're expecting it to be good. You're expecting it to taste good, or you're never going to buy it again. But if you're spending $150 on a special release, it should at least feel special.
I agree.
It should at least be, you know, something that you're like,
but Austin,
oh yeah, in 2021 we had Blood Oath 7.
But didn't you get a box?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. You got a box.
It's a
man.
fine box.
Yeah.
They used to
box.
bury people in those.
Yeah. I mean, that was $100 right there.
Probably. But yeah, so that one was a huge disappointment for me. I gave that bottle away.
Did you really? The whole bottle? You didn't even worth sampling it out. You just said,
I got a sample of it, and I remember trying it and going, because I have a bottle, and I remember trying it and going, yeah, I'm not opening that bottle. I'm trading that bottle.
You bought it when we were in Kentucky, right?
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. The finish is like non-existent on that thing.
It's not even there. And then when I really dug into it, you know, the write-up for it, it was only one of the bourbons that was finished. And I'm like, wait, why are they claiming that this whole thing is finished, you know, kind of on the bottle when it's only one of the bourbons? And so that one was an absolute monster disappointment.
Here's the follow-up. Who was on the naughty list that got that bottle?
Me.
Nobody was on the naughty list, but my buddy
he wanted it.
Yeah, because he has Blood Oath 5 and 6 sitting on his shelf. And so it looks pretty sitting next to it. I don't think he's even touched it since I gave it to him. Well, but it's just adding to his collection.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah, well, that's nice of you then. All right, next one on your list?
Next one on the list would be Little Book 5.
Oh, I haven't tried that. Not good.
Okay, what's with Jim Beam sticking brown rice in everything?
I don't understand that.
What? Why? And then it's young whiskey.
So I was just going to say, isn't it like 6 years old?
It's like really young whiskey. Yeah. And it comes across super young. And he's like, yeah, we made it young to showcase what you can do with young whiskey. Well, you showcase how to make trash whiskey? Okay, thanks.
And it still cost over $100 to get that bottle. I mean,
$150 for crap. That's like, I think the oldest thing in there was like 7 years, but that was like this much of it. And everything else was like 3 years and 2 years.
Yeah.
Who thought this was a good idea?
And honestly,
Jim Beam was like, "This is a great idea."
And to me, I don't know if you feel the same way. And I'm a huge, I like Knob Creek and all that kind of stuff. I love that. You know, I'm a fan. But for some reason, to me, the Jim Beam profile takes a lot longer to taste good. Like, you need like 9 years. You need Baker's 7 is pretty good, you know, but like, you don't need to get anything young on the Jim Beam scale is not good.
I think that's a good point. Yeah.
See, there's something funny about Jim Beam, and you know, and I kind of had a long-term love affair with Booker's, and I don't know if it's that my tastes are changing or if their profile is kind of changing, but you know, the Bookers that I've had more recently, I've not enjoyed at all.
Yeah.
I think the last one that I enjoyed was the Country Ham.
Yeah, me too. I
That's
was
the
about to
last
say the same
release.
thing.
And then before that, the Backyard Barbecue and Sip a While, and and some of the really great ones, Kentucky Chew, were phenomenal releases. But all of the ones after Country Ham, I've been severely disappointed with. But it's not just Booker's. My tastes with Knob Creek have changed a lot too, because Knob Creek used to be one of my favorites. And if it's not a 15-year-old store pick, I really am not enjoying Knob Creek anymore.
Really?
So
Yeah.
I don't know if they've done some serious changing in their mash bill or with their process, but something seems to have changed with Jim Beam. And
I think that the 9-year-old like picks that I've tried of the Knob Creek recently haven't blown my socks off.
Nope,
they just
me
really
either.
haven't. Now I did not get to try the bakers that you had, the store pick, and I'm very curious about that one. Very
What
curious.
was the age on that one?
13 years, 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So Specs just dropped a bunch of stuff today. I saw on your Patreon page. Somebody else from Houston is also. I was there, and
Wow.
yeah, I picked
Tater.
up. I picked up like a Weller 12 and a Stag Junior, and I don't know something.
Yeah, but you
else.
didn't spend the night. You showed up like at 11.
Yeah, they opened at 10. I showed up at 11 and still walked away with some stuff.
That's good.
Like there were people there at like 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
No.
That is
No.
so
I have no
dumb.
interest in that.
That's so dumb.
I have no interest in that.
No, but anyway, the reason I bring it up is because they did release a Baker's pick today, so I'm very
was it?
curious. It was like an 11-year, 3-month,
11-year,
Okay.
8-month.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
It's already on.
I'm sorry. Mine was 11-year, 8 months.
That's
I
what
was
this one was.
Yeah.
screwing things up in my head.
yeah,
Mine was 11 years and 8 months.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was too oaky.
Mm.
It was wildly over oaked.
Really?
It shouldn't have been in the barrel that long.
So it tells me it was up high somewhere, burning the.
Hey, we've tried some stuff from up high.
Yes, we have.
It's pretty freaking good. A different company though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that the regular bakers, when they're just over 8 years, that's the honey spot for bakers.
We
The ones that
agree.
I've had under 8 years, not as good. But like if I see them like 8 years, 6 months, 8 years, 3 months, those are the ones I buy. And I think that is the kind of the sweet spot for bakers.
What's
Man.
the one that we like? The 8-year, 6-month? or-
Anything over 8 years,
Yeah.
we've liked. I mean, even I had an 8-year flat, and it was
Yeah.
great. But I've had a 7-year, 11-month that I didn't like it. It's funny that you said that. I'm
Yeah.
glad that he said that because we've
It's
said
really
that.
weird. It's a thing.
But now I can't find any more 8-year. I haven't seen any for the last almost a year.
Yeah, because they're all going to picks now.
I guess, well, that or they're all going to Florida.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I do see them pretty often. I see like 8 years, 3 months, 8 years.
Do you
1
really?
month, 8 years. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
haven't
see them
seen
pretty
those in a
often
while.
here.
You know what my biggest complaint is about the new bakers?
What is it?
The cheesy plastic top that they put
Oh,
on it.
yeah.
It looks like it's going to be so badass
heavy thing.
and heavy.
It's not.
It is just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right. It's light and wimpy.
Other
Yeah.
than that, it's an awesome looking bottle.
Yeah.
What'd you say it was,
Well, you know.
Austin?
No, it was me.
It's light and wimpy.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, second question of our 5 questions as we talk bourbon and get to know you. As a kid, and a kid can go into your teenage years, your favorite childhood either food or meal that maybe mom or grandma or somebody made, something that you look forward to when you were having this, you smiled.
Okay. Well,
Pour me
I'm
some
going to give you a
Guinness.
2-part on this.
All right.
Because my grandfather was pretty famous at naming dishes. And so my mom and my grandma before her always made this thing. It was chipped beef gravy.
I know it well.
And we would eat it on toast
What the hell?
instead of biscuits. And my grandfather named it shit on a shingle.
Yep.
And that we ate that a lot. I loved that. It was one of my favorite things. And then my grandmother always used to make no-bake cookies, those chocolate ones with rolled oats and peanut butter and chocolate, and you do them in a pan and then put them out on a cookie sheet.
Yeah.
They don't go in the oven. And my grandfather always called them cow splatters because that's kind of what they look like.
That's kind of cool. I never thought about that.
And they're so good. But those two were like my meal and dessert that were a favorite.
Oh yeah.
See, now I've heard of shit on a shingle before.
I've had it a ton. Chipped beef on toast. The chipped beef would come in a little jar.
Yep.
And you would make
glass jar.
Yep.
I thought that's what the military ate.
The Navy was known for shit on a shingle.
And you'd make like a white gravy.
That's right.
And
on toast.
On toast.
Oh my gosh.
It's a badass
so that it was
meal.
like a shingle.
Yep.
And it was shit on a shingle.
Yeah, and it was good shit.
We had biscuits and gravy in Alabama.
Oh. Biscuits and gravy is one of my favorite things, my favorite thing now to make. And
you might see a picture of that tomorrow, Austin. You might see a picture of some
you might do that. Huh?
Tomorrow or Saturday, you may see a picture. I've been craving some homemade biscuits.
I'm cooking breakfast tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be. So I'll try and surprise everybody, but
okay.
Maybe I'll run to the store in the morning and make some myself.
There we go.
There you go. There you go.
All right,
biscuits and gravy off.
There you go. I like that.
Well, he hasn't finished his worst list yet.
That's what I say. Let's get to number 3.
All right, number 3 on the list, and I at the moment can't remember my other two, so this is gonna be my worst one because this one I know was also from Jim Beam.
Oh no!
It's the new Basil Hayden toast.
Oh, it's so bad.
Okay,
it's awful.
It's so bad.
Don't buy Basil Hayden. Period.
So bad.
Yeah. Basil Hayden.
This is so much worse than the regular basil.
It is
so much worse.
Yeah, I haven't bought it or tried it, but
they added brown rice, big shock, but it was so god awful that I gave it away in my Patreon group with the caveat of, do you want to taste how bad this is? Like, I didn't want anybody to think I'm giving them a gift. This is like a punishment. Do you want to taste it? And they were like, yeah, I'll taste it, whatever. And so I chopped it up and gave it away in my Patreon. I had literally had a half of an ounce out of it for my video review that I did.
Yeah.
And the rest of the bottle got chopped.
Oh, it's horrible. And I was thinking when I tried it at a store. So I was in Kentucky, and
they opened it up.
Yeah, at the store they do like samples. It's Liquor Barn.
Oh, okay.
And so they do like samples, and they're like, "Yeah, we just got this new Basil Hayden toast. And I'm like, you already kind of losing me at Basil Hayden, but all right, let me give it a try, And I was thinking maybe the toasted finish like elevates it. Maybe maybe it makes it. Oh no,
terrible.
It's so light. It's basically non-existent. And the toast finish isn't even like present. And if it is present, it's more of like a burnt kind of taste.
Oh, really?
Than it is like
it's just
double.
Well, I think what you're really tasting primarily is the brown rice that they added to the mash bill, because I had the same problem with the previous year Little Book. They added brown rice to that one. Little Book 3 was amazing. Little Book 4 had the brown rice added to it.
Yeah.
And it gives you like a sickly, burnt, almost bittersweet taste that's just rancid. It's like you don't want to drink it. And I don't know. I mean, obviously other people might have a different opinion. They might love it, but it does not fit my palate at all.
Yeah. I hear you. Well, we did send we sent Santa a little bit of a blind.
We're throwing a lot at you tonight.
We
Santa.
really are.
We're trying to see what can this guy really handle.
I was going to just say I'm feeling a bit thirsty, and I have 4 little sample bottles in front of me.
Yeah.
Have you not warmed up your palate with something else?
I had a little something earlier.
Okay, shame on us.
There
We
you
should have
go.
made sure you had something. I'm going to put that on Matt. That's his job.
Yeah, my fault.
I got to get back at you a little bit.
I know. Well, it's okay. So I think so. Is there a distillery? I know the answer to this question, but is there a distillery that you don't particularly enjoy?
Jim Beam.
Well,
No,
that's not it.
That's not it.
Is
I
there
know
a
it's not,
distillery that you don't particularly enjoy their products?
I'm okay.
Not in Tennessee.
Jim Beam's listening, Jim Beam's listening to this going, come on, say something else. Say something else.
No, it's not Jim Beam. I can tell you
Jim
that.
Beam. I do not enjoy Dickel.
No, me
Well,
either.
we'll take that off the board for everybody. So
You're taking that off
besides
the board?
yeah, because nobody likes Dickel. I mean, that's just the most common, obvious answer.
Somebody does.
Of the other distilleries that people might like, whether it's Four Roses, Brown
Oh,
Forman.
Four Roses. Four Roses.
You don't like Four Roses? Really? Okay. That was quicker than I thought. You know what I thought you were going to say?
What?
Wild Turkey.
Okay. I don't like Russell's Reserve
Okay.
from Wild Turkey at all. I do like Wild Turkey. I like most of the Master's Keeps that I've had. I love Wild Turkey 101.
Okay.
Anything below 101, I don't like. And Rare Bird, I don't like it. It's just hot without more flavor for me compared to like the 101.
Okay.
101 is like the perfect convergence of great flavor and good proof without just being a palate blown out without extra flavor.
Okay.
I kind of have that feeling about Old Granddad 114 versus Bonded. I like Bonded way better than I like 114.
Do you really?
Yeah.
The 114 is pretty much the only whiskey that I use to make old fashions.
Who makes that?
I
Who
love it,
distills that?
Jim Beam.
Jim Beam.
Yeah, it's
Jim
the
Beam.
better Basil Hayden.
Yeah.
but
So you have 4 blinds in front of you, and now I'm really excited about
me
this
too.
blind.
I'm very excited about this.
I didn't know. It's funny. You tell me what you think, Austin. I don't see a lot of people nationally talking up Four Roses. We're drinking a little Four Roses. We are Four Roses fans, me and Carter.
So here's my problem with Four Roses.
Okay.
I did a monster flight of Four Roses a few months back on my channel. One of my patrons, who is a big Four Roses guy, he sent me 8 out of the 10 recipes. He didn't have his hands on the other 2 at the time. So, he wanted me to find one that I liked. And out of those 8, there was one that I kind of liked.
Okay.
And the rest I didn't like.
You remember what that recipe was?
I don't
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look
That's
at
fine.
the video. But it was 8 years something. It was there. It was all single barrels.
Yeah. And they
course.
can vary wildly even from the recipe. Like they really can.
Because it's all single barrel stuff. But my buddy bought a single barrel once, and I don't remember the recipe, but it was literally one of the worst things I've ever tasted. And I think I have the same problem with Four Roses that I have with Russell's Reserve. I don't love a floral whiskey.
Okay.
If I'm getting that green vegetal floral, like the stalks you cut off of a bunch of flowers note out of a whiskey, I don't enjoy that note in a whiskey. And I find that note a lot on Four Roses and Russell's Reserve.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge turkey fan. Anybody who listens to us knows that I'm not like the biggest wild turkey fan. 101 is okay.
101 is fantastic. You need to get off your pedestal.
I mean,
Are you with me,
101 is
Austin?
good. I'm with you. 101 is great.
But I'd rather have that, right across
Basil
from
Hayden?
No, I'd rather have that Cooper's Craft. I'd rather have, there's tons of stuff that's 100 proof that I like better.
Well, but the thing is, though, is when you're looking at Wild Turkey 101, that's a $20 whiskey.
That's true. That's true.
So when you're comparing $20 whiskeys, there's not a lot in that market. I mean, you got like Fighting Cock. There's a few others, and they're all honestly really good whiskeys. Old Granddad 101,
Yeah.
in the Bond, whatever.
Bonded, yeah. I like that better than 101.
They're great whiskeys, and they're all in the $20 range.
I like Early Times, Bottle and Bond. for a $20 liter or like whatever it is, that's ridiculous.
To me, early times can't be beat in that price range. That it's the best.
I've never had Old Granddad bottled in bond.
Oh, you got to have that.
I know. I went out and bought a bottle. We talked about that on a previous show, and I went out and bought a bottle. I haven't opened it up yet. But now you made a comment, and you have me curious about blinding that against the Wild Turkey 101.
We could do the early times, the Old Granddad and the turkey, and try it, and just see which one. I'm sure we'll be able to pick out each one. Honestly.
We might be able to.
But anyway.
So
what are you picking up? What do you pick?
So you got these 4 blinds that you're nosing, and here's how we're going to do this.
Number 1 at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Good. You're staying with number 1. You can go through the nose of the whole flight if you want. That's what we, like we would on a normal blind. But what we're going to do is have you narrow down after you go through the tasting part of this blind your top 2, and then we'll let you kind of do your thing as far as sipping it again, nosing it again, whatever you want to do, and pick out your champion. And then once you've done that, we'll reveal these to you, and let's see where we fall. But while you're nosing through all these, I'm going to keep firing a few questions at you.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and show everybody that I'm going to have some BS blend here. And this stuff is freaking good, dude. Like, it's really good.
One of my favorite things about the Bourbon Santa name is the initials for it are BS.
I know.
And that just makes me giggle on a 14-year-old level. Like, it's the bullshit blend.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing.
BS. It's all BS. We're playing with whiskey. I mean, this is not a job.
Dude, I love the stickers though. Like, your logo's sick, but like then like the bad Santa sticker on the back, that's just stupid, man. I love that.
Okay, people are listening going, okay, we got through 3 of his, 5 worst whiskeys of 2021. We need to get to 2 and 1. I am very curious to see if my least favorite whiskey from 2021 is on your list. So what's number 2?
Russell's Reserve 13 year.
Oh, I hated it.
Hated it.
Are you serious?
Hated it.
Oh, the Russell's 13 year.
Russell's Reserve 13? I did not hate that.
I thought you meant I thought you were talking about the Master's Keep 17.
Yeah, that I didn't
that
like.
I hated.
The
the
bottle
13
bond.
I didn't. I liked that.
But it was okay. There's some Russell 10
like
picks that I think are better. I'm not chasing that bottle.
For $450 on secondary, are you
Screw
freaking
that.
kidding me?
I mean, I don't even want to trade for it. So, yeah. I agree with you that it's not a great bottle, but that's on your worst list. That's a surprising one to me.
That's an unpopular opinion, my friend.
I know. Very unpopular.
Yeah, if I had bottles in my mind that might be on your list, and my number 1 still hasn't come up, but I never thought a Russell's Reserve 13. Now, I heard you say you're not a fan of the Russell's profile.
Right.
And obviously that leads to that opinion of yours, but I still wouldn't have thought that would make your top 5. So I'm a little shocked by that, Austin.
Oh. Well, I think part of my problem was that so many people were praising it to death, and so when I tried it, I was like, "What were they talking about?"
Yeah,
it was just Russell's. It was just typical Russell's profile with a little bit more oak than normal. And it was, like I said, Russell's is just not my profile. I don't like that floral note.
Yeah, we never got a bottle. We poured that when we were at Wild Turkey in Kentucky in August.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it was a good whiskey. It was fine. But it wasn't something where either one of us went, I got to get a bottle of that.
I've had Russell's picks that I liked better than the 13.
I totally agree. I have Russell's picks that I like better. Yeah.
But...
all right, number 1.
Number 1. What's number 1?
the Dickel bourbon.
Oh yeah, like the 8 year, the new thing.
Yeah, the new Dickel bourbon.
You mean the limestone water with a hint of bourbon?
Yeah, with a hint of bourbon flavor.
It's so thin.
I told him, I was like, when we tried it,
we blinded it
versus Copper Tongue. Oh my god!
And that's
also crap.
Okay, you let it out of the bag. You didn't know. That's my least favorite whiskey of the year.
I never tried Copper Tongue.
Oh god! Well,
we blinded it.
If you want a sample, I'll send it to you. I mean,
we blinded it, and he's like, "What would you pay for this?" And I was like, $20. And my man here spent
like $150
I'm
like that.
And I bought the bourbon for like $30 and it sucks. And I went, I won on this one.
Yeah. Now the label on that Copper Tongue is sick. That label is sick.
It's a beautiful bottle.
It is.
Yeah, that's why I buy bourbon.
I mean, packaging matters, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's what my wife always says.
That's what she said.
Oh, God. But yeah, like so the Dickel.
Well, I can see that you haven't had that orphan barrel, what is it called, the Copper Tongue?
Yeah.
So I absolutely agree with you not having that one, that the bourbon would be on your list and number one. I'm not shocked by that at all because I think it's awful.
You know what it tasted like? Watered down apple juice to me. Like
I didn't even get that.
It was bad. Like
with that Dickel minerality.
Yeah.
And I'm not a hater of Dickel. You know that. I don't mind Dickel. I kind of like it, actually. But when they came out with this bourbon, I was like, okay, this ought to be cool. Let's see where they're going with this. And to me, I mean, it was what was it proofed at? Like 80 something? I don't even think it was 60 proof. I mean, I think they lied on that label. It was so watered down. There was no alcohol.
Oh yeah, it tasted like nothing.
Nothing.
Except for minerals and light apple juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's funny that you brought that one up because the other Dickel was what was on my list, especially when you paid like $150, Carter, for that one.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for reminding me. I did it for the show.
Is there anything that you've had this year that stands out that you'd go, I'd add this to that list? The Orphan Barrel and that 8-year bourbon was the two from Dickel.
I mean, of the stuff that I've tried, probably that Basil Hayden toast was the worst thing that I've ever tried like this year.
Really? Worse than the Dickel?
Well, it costs more than the Dickel, I think. I think
more than the Orphan Barrel.
Well, that's a different story. that was a dumb purchase, but like for just a standard shelf offering, that Basil Hayden toast was terrible, just absolutely terrible. Anyway, I mean, but I knew going into it, Basil Hayden like would be not good because I don't particularly like Basil Hayden, and I think the 10 is the most overrated, like overpriced bottle of all time.
I saw a bottle of the new label Dark Rye. That one I haven't ever tried.
Yeah. Now I will say my wife likes that Caribbean rye, the blue bottle as a dessert pour.
I like that a little bit too.
I'm going to tell you that's the one I've had that I go, that's not too bad.
That one, but it's not like whiskey. It's like a post meal drink or something. I don't know.
Well, and then too, I mean, they're upfront about it. They are literally adding rum to it.
Yeah,
like it's rum and bourbon blended together. A small amount of rum, but at least they're being honest about it and saying, hey, we're flavoring this with rum. It's not just finished in rum casks. We're putting a little in here.
Right. So
that is actually surprisingly good.
That is okay. Well, okay. So nosing all these, you having a chance to, I don't know if you've tasted anything.
No.
Good.
I wanted to talk about the noses on these before I taste them.
And then I want you to rank them as you go.
Yes. So number one is my least favorite of the noses.
Okay.
It's a little vegetal.
Okay.
And it's got a lot of rye. Nice brown sugar, nice vanilla. But it's got something acrid, a little caustic, a little ethanol-y in the nose that I'm not in love with.
Okay.
Number two has a really nice cinnamon note. It's like French toast with cinnamon drizzled on top.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
Very nice, creamy, very nice vanilla, very nice caramel. Three is different. Three's got some dates in it. Some like dark raisins in vanilla cream with some kind of syrup drizzled on top.
Oh yeah. I'd get that.
That three is really, really nice. And then 4 seems very familiar to me, but I can't place it specifically, but it's got this plasticky chemical note that I tend to find on Pinhook and a few other more craft whiskeys. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a note that I don't love. So my two favorite on the nose are going to be 2 and 3.
Okay.
And I think 3 is my favorite on the nose just because it's like really interesting and dark and like
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, as we go through these, you can start tasting them now and kind of form your opinion there. But we are on to question number 3.
Ah, yes.
On the questions to get to know Austin, the Bourbon Santa. Best decade for music, the 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Wow, that's hard for me because I was raised on Led Zeppelin, which I still would listen to, like the 10 box set.
Sure.
All the way through on repeat. And I don't know what time period, you would specifically say for this artist, but one of my favorite artists of all time is Prince.
Oh yeah. I'd say 80s.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's like 80s he was the biggest or if it was 90s, I don't know.
I'd say 80s I think sure.
I think about the 90s like it was like 8 years ago. There's we're not even close to 8 years ago. But so like to tell you what decade that's from, but I'll go with an artist. Prince is one of my favorite artists of all time.
That's cool. So I'd probably say 80s. For Prince, that's the bulk of.
I would say so too.
Big hits were in the 80s.
The cinnamon note on 2 is ridiculous.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
And that's the fun thing about doing blinds. You love the noses on some of these, and you don't like them on others, and you taste them and go, well, hold on.
Right. And that's the thing, too, because a lot of times I'll really like a nose and then taste it and be like, oh, no, never mind.
Yeah.
Or I'll nose it and be like, oh, I don't like this so much, and then taste it and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that just happened right now on number 2. I tasted it, and I don't like the flavor as much as the nose.
Yeah.
So,
okay, interesting.
Gotcha. Well, a lot of times, like, when I find the ultimate whiskey, and there's a couple of that fall into that category for me, but like when I find the nose that complements the palate and everything, I mean that's a complete whiskey, and it's a special whiskey, and there's not a lot of them like that.
3 is that for me right now.
Yeah.
3. I love the nose.
I thought you might like that. I thought he might like 3.
I thought he might like all of them.
Yeah, I thought he might like all of them.
3 is my favorite.
Okay.
Do you what's your next favorite on that list?
Well, for the nose, it was 2.
Yeah.
For the palate,
well, and he's still tasting, so that's fine.
Okay.
Take your time.
yeah. Let me think about number 2.
Yeah. Take your time. So I want to get into a little bit about your sample that you sent to. This is a Bourbon Santa BS special.
Yeah, the blend. North Pole blending is where it came from.
Is there some port in this?
No.
There's not.
I remember you posted. You either had it in your.
It was in my Advent.
Yeah. I remember seeing what it was and going, now that's interesting, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay, so the BS blend is a blend of 3 different alcohols. One of them is a bourbon, Woodford double oaked, regular old double oaked,
Makes
not even
sense.
a store pick, regular double oaked. And the other whiskey is a rye, and that is Angel's Envy rye.
Caribbean rye. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're rum finished Caribbean rye. And then there's just a little bit of brandy, of a cask strength 145 proof fruit blend, like a mixed fruit brandy.
That is, I'm telling you, it's like dessert in a glass.
I mean, it's so good, but man, that brandy comes through big time.
I think that Angel's Rye comes through.
Yeah. To me, the Angel's Rye comes through more, but the brandy just made it that much better. And in what's interesting, in a 750 ml bottle, there's only 15 mLs of that brandy. So there's only 7.5 mLs of that brandy in what you're drinking.
Wow. Because, if you think about port has brandy in it. And that might be where I'm getting at. But it's got this kind of wine port kind of finish to it. And I'm going, okay, this has got to have something like that in there.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the double oaked plays with that rye finished in a rum and then that little teensy bit of brandy. The way they just play together is just outrageous. And I ended up, kind of making that in a glass once. And I was like, oh my God, what did I just discover?
Yeah.
And in my first glass that I made of it was 50-50 Angels and double oaked. And then just a dripper, a drop of the brandy. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just, kind of accidentally discover by just screwing around?
Yeah.
And so then I started playing, with the proportions of the double oaked and the Angel's Rye, and the Angel's Rye kind of takes over if if you're like 50-50. So it's more double oaked than Angel's Rye.
Yeah.
It's probably, 60% double oaked, and then Angels, and then just that little teensy bit of the brandy.
Okay, what was the process for, one, picking out these three to blend, and two, getting those milliliters to where you wanted it? I mean, that's a little science project.
Yeah. So, I have all the tools for measuring whiskey because I pour a lot of samples.
What? You do what? You pour samples?
Yeah. Shocker.
So, I have all the tools for measuring. I have, graduated cylinders, that I can, measure very accurately, milliliters. So I do this thing that I call flavor stacking. And basically what it is I will taste a whiskey, and when there's just a teensy bit left in the glass, or maybe sometimes just enough to wet the inside of the glass, I will pour a second whiskey into the same glass so that some of that flavor influences the new whiskey and creates a new flavor. And, and sometimes I'll do that in a tasting, 4 or 5 whiskeys in, you've got something that no one's ever tasted before.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because that specific combination and amounts, you can't even repeat it yourself. And I always find that super fascinating and fun to do, to see, okay, what would a teensy bit of double oaked do to a Booker's, or, a pour of Booker's, or a pour of Michter's American, or, jumping from bourbon to rye, and then even a little scotch, a little smoky scotch, and so, I really started playing with developing these flavors in the glass to have a unique experience. And so I kind of got to the double oaked with the Angel's Rye just by accident. I drank one of those after the other, and there was a little left in the, of the Angel's Rye left in the glass. And then I poured, and typically when I pour whiskey, I do maybe half ounce, because I want to taste 4 or 5 different things.
Yep.
When I decide I'm going to drink whiskey, I'm not going to sit there and drink one whiskey all night and pour, a Russo pour into a Glen. I want to try multiple different whiskeys. So, so when I had a little bit of Angels left in the glass, and then I poured Woodford Double Oak next, I was like, whoa, because the Angels really made a difference in that glass. So I kind of just fell into it, and really started playing with the proportions till I got it right where I wanted it, and then mocked that all the way up to a 750 ml bottle.
That's super cool. And like, first of all, I'll say, like, one of the big things for me for whiskey is mouthfeel, viscosity.
Yeah.
This is definitely killing it on that. Like really nice, viscous, delicious whiskey. Well, and brandy. But the Angel's Rye, I tell people about this bottle all the time. I'm like, you got to try this bottle. Like this.
Yeah, but it's funny though. I don't love it by itself. It's the flavor profile is a little too aggressively rummed for me to enjoy it as a rye by itself. Really? So I really enjoy it mixed with other things.
Oh, well, see, now I love it by itself, but I've told my man Rob here several times that it's my favorite beach whiskey because it's got that rum characteristic to it. So if I'm sitting, on the beach and I want to have a whiskey, Angel's Rye is, dude, it hits the spot,
If I'm going to the beach, if I'm going to drink at the beach, it's going to be tequila.
Well,
really?
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Are you a big tequila guy? Do you just drink tequila, or are you big into tequila?
My tequila collection is tiny compared to my bourbon collection, but I really enjoy tequila.
Yeah, we have friends that do drink quite a bit of it.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Jordan Hill is a huge.
Yeah, Luis drinks a lot of tequila and mezcal.
I'm not a huge fan. My wife loves tequila.
God, of course. She's from El Paso.
Yeah, she's of Mexican descent, so it's in her blood.
It has to.
Yeah, it's in her blood. I've just never been a big fan. And I've tried, man. I've went out on the recommendation of some tequila guys and bought, $80, $100 bottles of tequila to sip on, and it's just
like what?
Not my thing. That Hereditia, or you're asking the guy who just sampled some stuff and went, not mine. G4 was one that we bought recently, $60 or something like that. So bottles like that we bought for my wife, and at the recommendation of usually Jordan Hill. And I tasted through. He had me buy a $30 bottle, a $50 bottle, and then like a $90 bottle, 86, whatever it was, then tax, whatever. And none of them. He was like, "Gonna love it, gonna think it's great. This is gonna be fantastic." And I went, didn't like it, hated it, never buy it again.
Yeah. So maybe you need that Corazon, like the one that's finished in a whiskey barrel.
I have the one finished in the Pappy. I have that one.
Is it good?
I paid over $100 for it. I don't know. You guys can try it and tell me.
Oh gosh. So circling back to our blind here. Okay. You got any additional thoughts?
I really am having a hard time picking a second place.
Okay. Because first is very obvious for you.
Yeah, I already marked it down.
Is really good. And the other ones, I don't really like any of them on the palate. I really like 2 on the nose, but the other 3 I don't really enjoy on the palate.
I am extremely disappointed.
Why?
I thought we were going to wow him a little bit with
I think we did on one of them.
We did on one of them.
Yeah. 3 is amazing. 3 is gorgeous.
Okay, so...
And I absolutely love the nose on 2. 2's nose is so nice.
Yeah, so just a little... One of these is a pick, and 2 is a pick that I participated in.
Okay.
So it is... So
I'm not going to reveal. No.
Why?
He's got to pick his favorites, then we're going to get to number 1.
Here he did.
No, he didn't. What's your number 2 favorite? Number 1 we already know is number 3.
I'm having a hard time picking a number 2. I don't like any of them.
Okay. So he's still, man, I don't
like
feel
any
awful
of the other 3.
That, the whole goal is just to send you stuff that you go, all right, boys, this shit is good. But we didn't.
I love the nose on 2, but the palate, is bitey. It's not soothing to drink. It's like burning in the back of the throat like a 1792 Full Proof. and it's just a little too alcohol forward, and it doesn't have a lot of really nice flavor other than oak and alcohol. The nose is unbelievable, but
okay.
Okay.
And one is too floral, and I don't like one like at all.
So that's number 4 on nose and palate.
And number 4, the nose has got that medicinal, plasticky kind of note. Really nice vanilla, really nice fruity notes. Then the palate is like an odd rye, sharp, and then like orange zest, and then into an oak finish, and that's like it.
Okay.
So I got number 1 as your least favorite, nose and palate.
Yes.
It ranks number 4.
Yeah, number 1's my least favorite.
I got number 3 as your number 1 nose, number 1 palate. You love that whiskey.
Yeah.
So we got to place number 2 and number 4 as number 2.
Number two is going to be my favorite, my second favorite, purely because of the nose.
Okay. So they all, where they were on the nose, they stayed on the palate, which is kind of
in your ranking.
Well,
yeah, in your ranking.
Well, 2, I'm giving it a lot of credit because of the nose.
Yeah.
The palate for 2, I didn't care for at all.
Okay, so you like the palate on 4 better than the palate on 2.
Yes.
Okay, let's change that.
Yes, but I didn't like the nose on 4.
But overall, the nose won you over, and it would be your number 2 ranking.
Yeah, I prefer. I'm more of a nose person than a palate.
Hey,
if
same here.
The nose is really nice, I'll nose that whiskey all night and sip on it, and I'll get past a palate that's not wonderful. But if the nose isn't nice, I'm gonna have a hard time with a whiskey.
Okay.
All right.
All right, you're ready for question number 4.
Yes.
And getting to know the Bourbon Santa. This one is can be very divisive. So,
Okay.
Not really.
I hope you're on the. I don't think it is. I think it's kind of common sense.
Me too. Yeah.
We'll see where you come out on this, Austin. It's a cooking question. Are there beans or no beans in chili?
In real chili, there's no beans. In Southwest chili, the kind I like, there's beans.
Okay, because I'm going. You just confused me. You mentioned chili, and then you mentioned like a beef soup or something. What'd you say? What do you say?
I think he's saying from a definition point of view that he's saying that it's no beans, but like from a what he prefers is beans.
I prefer beans. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what definition you're looking at, but don't read that anymore. You're right. Just go with your gut. Beans belong in chili.
We live in Texas, and we like beans in chili. So
and we let all these people know how wrong they are.
But like cooking, culinary school wise, chili doesn't have beans in it. But
that's called
like
salsa too.
Yeah.
Yeah, chili, salsa.
Chile.
Yeah.
Because, to me, I always believed everywhere but Texas thinks there's no beans in. I mean, you even go to Cincinnati and there's, they don't put beans, but they put it on top of pasta where it should be.
Right.
Oh, God. No.
Well, see, I grew up in a household. See, I'm from Ohio originally.
Okay.
Moved to Florida when I was a little kid, and my family always made chili with beans, and we would use the dark red kidney beans.
Yep.
But we always enjoyed our chili over top of mashed potatoes.
Nothing wrong with that. I could see that. I've never tried it, but I could absolutely see that.
It's so good. Oh, my God.
Oh, God.
It's so good.
I have not tried that.
Neither have I. But you didn't make
You
me go,
need to try
I won't. I was like, yeah, that sounds all right to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when are we doing the big reveal?
Let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and let him know what number 4 is. You ready to know what number 4 was that you
tell me what number 4
hated?
is. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So number 4 is a 1994.
No. his fourth ranking.
Oh, okay. So your fourth ranking is
what you liked the least was number one.
Michter's Barrel Strength.
Yeah,
Rye.
number one.
Michter's Barrel Strength Rye is your least favorite.
No way.
From 2016.
Oh, okay. I never had one from 2016.
Yeah. This is a little bit more.
I have a barrel strength rye over there on the shelf, and that tastes nothing like mine.
And this particular bottle is thought to be the best one they've ever done.
Yeah.
So, no.
There you go.
But we did a blind versus 21, and we like the 21 better.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. My 21 is delicious, and my 2020 was delicious. Yeah, that's not it.
What finished ranked number 3 for you overall was the number 4 blind. People are going, what the hell is all these numbers? The number 4 blind that you had finished number 3 overall. It is the 1994 Wild Turkey Rare Breed 112.2.
It's actually the 1855 export only.
Yeah, it's the Japanese release of Rare Breed.
Japanese release of Rare Breed.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you're getting some Dusties in your life here.
Yeah, I see that. Dusties are a bit divisive.
They can be. I actually really like that 1855 quite a lot.
I love it.
But you know, that's okay. You know, like,
it just means we don't have to compete with Austin secondary to get it.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's all yours.
This is what you do for other people. We're trying to help you find out what you like and don't like.
Yeah,
I like that.
All right.
Number 2.
Number 2 is a pick near and dear to my heart. I did it last summer, and it was the Four Roses OBSO. So you're right on the spicy rye note because the B is the high rye mash bill.
Right.
And it's a 8-year, 9-month, 115.6 proof. And yeah, I'm a nose guy, so I agree. I think the nose is fantastic.
That nose was gorgeous. That cinnamon note is outlandish.
And that is what we are currently sipping on.
Well,
nice.
Not any. Well, I'm still on the blend. I'm just,
But you're a nurse, so
yeah,
go ahead.
That's true. And so that leads us to number 1.
Yeah, number 1. You ready to know what you had? Do you have any guess? Yeah. We'll give you an opportunity to pull.
Sure.
Be a Carter and call your shot. Carter likes to do that. I'm going to call my shot.
I do. I'm most of the time wrong.
Not always.
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
This is
a 2003 8-year Wild Turkey 101.
8-year age statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
How dramatically different is that from the current release?
Unbelievably different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unbelievably different.
And that's what you love about those old turkeys. I know to your point earlier, but this could have, it's 8 years the youngest that's in there. I mean, they used to blend 10, 12, 15-year stuff in there as well. So all that plays.
Dark.
Yeah.
It's so dark and rich.
Yeah, it's killer. And that's I didn't want to kind of give anything away. But yeah, I'm not a big Wild Turkey fan, but when it comes to that dusty Wild Turkey, dude, I love it. I think the nose is just so incredible on it.
I did a couple videos, or at least one video with a old Wild Turkey decanter from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, it was so good.
Really,
it was just amazing.
I've still never tried any of those cheesy gold foil 12 years, but I've heard that those are just mind blowing.
Right.
Did you know this, Austin, that Wild Turkey now is releasing the 12-year age statement again for 101?
Where?
Japan.
Of course.
Yeah, not here.
But it's out there. I'm just saying.
It's so annoying.
Well, they also have, and this is something that I'd like to try, and I know you mentioned you don't particularly like rare breed. So in the travelers market, in the duty free and stuff like that, they have rare breed uncut, unfiltered.
Yeah, non-chill filtered.
And so I am very, very curious to try it and see how it stacks up against the filtered version.
Right. Yeah, I would love to see how that compares.
But I hear that they might release that to the U.S. market in limited quantity, but I don't know.
Well, I think like a lot of other, like the Maker's Mark 101 we were talking about earlier, when people weren't traveling, I think they said we need to get that out and get it places. And
yeah, that's true.
They
that's
put it
true.
out.
The international travel definitely dropped.
COVID had us buying a bunch of liquor, but just not while we were traveling.
Yeah, hopefully we end up with some of this traveler stuff. That's so annoying that they put out really nice special stuff.
Okay.
To just the international market. I mean,
I think I have an answer for you, though. And I mentioned this to the Bourbon Junkies when they were on, and they agreed with me. You ready?
Yeah.
We're being punished, Austin.
For what?
Because as Americans, bourbon is the drink of America. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, that was what, everybody says it, right? That was Grandpa's drink. And then we got into the 70s and the 80s when nobody wanted it anymore. But there was a market that still said, we still love you, bourbon, and we'll take all you've got. And that was Japan. Right?
Yeah.
And so now we're being punished because there's this great craze for bourbon now. Everybody goes nuts and are really, let's just say what it is. They're stupid over bourbon. And bourbon, like Wild Turkey and other, distilleries are going, we're still going to release that. I mean, even look at Buffalo Trace. Until recently, we couldn't get a straight from the barrel or a gold or, black label, red label, green label, all that stuff. It goes to Japan because they supported them. That was just my theory.
So okay, we can definitely say that bourbon is taken off because as a witness to what happened at Specs today, when I got there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, Specs takes up a whole city block in downtown Houston. It is a giant liquor store, and there was a line that circled and doubled to a degree an entire city block. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And so bourbon's back.
So what do you think about my theory, though? They're punishing us. Why with the craze going on, why wouldn't they release that here? It's to go, you jerks didn't support us 30 years ago. Why are we going to give it to you now? Japan did.
I would be shocked if that's the real reason, because most of the people who are running distribution now weren't around 30 years ago. Okay, I mean, how many master distillers were even around 30 years ago? Jimmy Russell, he's not really doing anything.
But Eddie was.
Eddie was around, but
is he really either running that or it's either that or they're owned by Japanese companies. One of the two.
Well, I mean, we already know Jim Beam is.
Yeah.
Beam's.
Well, so is Four Roses, and so is Blanton's from Buffalo Trace. So
yeah, all owned by Sazerac.
But I liked my theory better that they're punishing us.
I don't think, I mean, that's a funny theory. It's a fun theory, but I don't think that's it. But one of the things that I will say about that whole thing, I've tried a bunch of the Japanese special release stuff, and like for Blanton's, and it's not better.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's not better.
I mean, straight from the barrel and gold are really good.
Yeah, they're
Other
good.
than that, nothing.
Straight from the barrel is good.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal stuff. But it's also still single barrel.
Yeah.
So you're going to have really great straight from the barrels, and you're going to have mediocre straight from the barrels. So you're taking a real big risk when you're, spending a couple $100 for a straight from the barrel, unless you're like super lucky and finding it at retail. But regular, like I have a really nice bottle of Blanton's right now, like a really good barrel. And I did it against all the Japanese releases a few months ago, and my bottle was better. And the only thing that beats my bottle is straight from the barrel, the samples that I've had. I've never owned my own straight from the barrel. I've never even seen one in person. I've seen golds in person. I've never even seen a straight from the barrel in person.
Oh, really?
You live so close to the islands, man. You could go. I mean, like,
I mean, what do I got to do? I got to fly international out of Miami or somewhere to get my hands on one. Where am I going to go? You know, what, hop into Bahamas and back or something just to get a bottle? No.
Well, it's coming out here in the States now, so.
I mean, hey, dude,
yeah, it is, but I still haven't seen one.
I will say St. Thomas is a nice place. You should absolutely go visit there. I'm sure there's a direct flight.
Well, let me ask. Let me ask you this. I'm trying to remember. I think I've tasted the red. I've never had the Black Label Blanton's, but I think both of those are still 93 proof. They're the same. They're a single barrel. They're the same thing, right?
Lower, isn't it?
Huh? One is lower. One is higher.
Oh, they are?
I forget which is which. One is 80 something proof, and one is 107.
Oh, wow. Okay, I did not know
something
that.
Like that.
Because I knew that
103. Maybe 103. I forget.
I knew the green label was 80 proof, which I've had. It was a big disappointment. I will say,
the blue, the Poland only release is actually the one I had. I mean, it's all single barrels, of course. It was really, really good.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That was the only one that actually like kind of competed with my really good single barrel.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of store pick Blantons that were not very good.
I haven't had a lot, but I've had a few.
Yeah.
I've had samples, but never had my own.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, as we wrap this up, and we appreciate having this conversation. It's been a lot of fun just kind of shooting the shit with you. We've got to get to the last question of the night.
Okay.
And it is, you want to give it to him?
What's the last question? I can't remember.
Okay, I'll give it to you. And then you're going to go, oh, shit, that's it.
Uh-huh.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is your last nightcap. See? I knew he was going to do that. You're going to sing with the angels. You know, you're closing your eyes forever. You can have any pour you want. Some people go with the pour they're familiar with. Some people go with their daily drinker. Some go with that elusive bottle they were never able to get a hold of. What's your final nightcap pour?
Okay, I've got this one.
Oh, that was quick.
Nice.
That was quick. Okay.
And I actually have this bottle.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't have an open one right now, but the Bruichladdich Black Art 4.1. I have two bottles of it sitting on the shelf over there they're like waiting for a very special occasion because I had 3 bottles, and once you open one and taste it, that bottle doesn't last very long. Because it's literally like unicorn tears and kisses from an angel, and it's the best scotch I've ever tasted in my life. And so that would be it.
That
would be the one I would drink.
So that is a peaty monster.
No peat.
No peat. Okay.
No, the black arts are, well, it depends on the release. There were a couple releases that were peated. The 4.1 was not peated. And it is
well, so I'm a, like, for instance, like Bruichladdich, like I'm kind of hit or miss on it because I'm not like a huge peat fan, but I do like the Bruichladdich, like the Port Charlotte. I think that's a pretty solid.
Well, the Port Charlotte is the highly peated.
But it's got like a finish to it that calms it down. I don't know if it's sherry or what. I'm not a Scotch expert, but anyway, I did like that. But like peat comes in different forms too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it really does. I mean, some of it's really this iodine Band-Aid thing that I'm not really crazy about, and some of it's toned down and is more smoky and less medicinal.
It really depends on the age of the Scotch. So as it's aging in the barrel, you're going to lose peat. So like a Lefroy 18 year has a really, really mild peat note. But like a Lefroy 10 year is very strong.
Oh yeah.
The younger the whiskey, the stronger the peat is. So like the Ardbeg Wee Beastie is like 4 to 5 years old.
Yeah.
Super peaty. The Bruichladdich Octomores are super, super peaty, but they're like 2 to 3 years old.
Ah.
So like a really older peated whiskey is going to be real mild and real light smoke and really nice and like barbecue-esque and like campfire kind of a beautiful smoke and less iodine, less of that medicinal, sharp smoke.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can tell you, like, so we have this event here in Houston, little credit to Christopher Hart and Houston Bourbon Society. I think they
not even Houston Bourbon Society had nothing to do with them.
Is it just Chris Hart?
It's just Chris Hart.
Okay, so he.
Well, let me correct. It's now Chris Hart, Dominic Sung, and Todd Group.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So they put on this Houston Whiskey Social, and they bring in all of these people into this venue. And you get to try incredible stuff. I mean, just samples of just incredible stuff, and it's awesome.
And when we say, he brings in all these people, it's like 400 different vendors that are Scotch and Irish and bourbon and tequila and rum and all these people have not just current release things, but they'll open up something from the 40s. And be pouring for people to try.
Yeah, there was like Dusty Turkey from the 80s getting passed around. It was like all kinds of stuff. So
BTAC gets opened and poured.
Oh yeah. I think Wade brought his own personal like Saz 18 and was just pouring it up. So that was kind of cool. But one of the best things that I tried, and so I'm kind of getting on this whole Scotch journey, and this could be another total episode. And we're running long, but like I did want to mention this. It was a Glenlivet. I think it was 12 or 14 years. I'm not sure. Aged its entire life in sherry, uncut, unfiltered. Like not just a few years of aging, like the whole life of it. And it was dark. It was so dark. It was like chocolate. Like it was unbelievable. And then I tried a pour of it. And the nose was so rich. It just like, it was like candy or something. It was unbelievable. What I tried that and I go, yeah, you know what? I think I could get into Scotch. I could really get into this.
We could do a whole nother episode on Scotch. I love Scotch pretty much as I love bourbon. And one of my favorite things is cast strength single barrel Scotch.
Yes. So Signatory does a lot of that, releases here in the Texas area. And I love some of their stuff. Love it. So, and
the Scotch Single Malt Whiskey Society, they put out, some unbelievable single barrel, releases that are just fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, maybe that's a follow-up episode.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. I think it's Santa Knows Scotch.
Yes, is that there? You go. There you go.
Yeah. Well, hey Austin, this has been a lot of fun, man. Thank you for coming on and joining us.
Yeah.
And letting us just kind of pick at you a little bit and see what you're all about and sharing that with everybody who listens to our show. It's been a lot of fun. And to everybody listening, if you don't follow the Bourbon Santa on Instagram, go do it. YouTube is going to be up and running a lot more than what it is, so look forward to that in 2022.
Facebook for sure.
Facebook for sure, but most importantly, go support this guy at Patreon. It's not cheap to ship all the samples out that you do, but you still have to get those bottles. So Patreon supporters are a big part of helping him make that very successful and continuing to do what he does. I hope I didn't overstep there in saying that,
no,
Austin. So definitely go out and support him. Check him out. I think you'll love the content. Got a lot of good information, and you do it in a very entertaining way, and I think that's very important. So we just wanted to say
I tried to.
Yeah.
And I've been getting into making memes lately.
Oh, yeah.
Whiskey-related memes. And so my Instagram's jack full of them. So
yeah. I look at your Instagram and I go, where the hell does the guy get the time to do all this?
I know, right?
I'm like, if I win the lottery, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
But no, again, thank you very much, Austin. Been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can, get together again and have another conversation. We've really enjoyed this.
Sounds good to me. This is my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey in Your Own Backyard. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.